do against Kamala Harris if this were to be the presidential election for the 2024 November presidential election. So, in this video, I thought now, given everything that's kind of been talked about with President Biden and all the rumors about will he step aside or not, I thought it would be a very interesting time to look at the electoral map if it were Trump versus Harris. Now, the first thing I need to get out of the way is that, firstly, there hasn't been too much polling data done between Trump versus Harris yet because obviously it's been Trump versus Biden for so long. I anticipate in the coming days and weeks, if we do get an announcement that if Biden decides not to run and Harris is the nominee, or even if we don't, it's possible there will be more polling data with Trump versus Harris. But as of today, there's a lot of polling data that is not yet done. So for the sake of this video, there's a lot of states that don't have polling data, and I'm just going to go arbitrarily and assign them what I think will happen based on what the polls say right now. But there isn't any polls, for instance, in Minnesota or Texas or Virginia for Trump versus Harris. So Virginia, I'm going to assign likely Harris for now. Excuse me. Likely Harris. Minnesota would be similar, would be likely for Harris. And then for Trump, I would give Texas as probably likely. I'm close to safe, but likely. Iowa would be the same thing. Ohio would be the same thing. And Florida would be the same thing. And then Colorado and New Mexico would be the same thing for Harris. So I think these are all the states that are in gray that there is polling data left for Trump versus Harris. Not too many, but there's a few. Also, Nebraska's 2nd district. Again, not much polling data, but I would probably give it to Harris just given how well Biden did there. So arbitrarily, the map starts at 222 for Harris and 219 for Trump. And so in the general election, this is just the national vote, national environment, Trump leads Harris in the RCP polling average by 1.9%. The difference from some of the other polls is this actually has a lot of recent polls in it. And for the most part, it's been Trump leading, but there's been a few polls recently where Harris led, but it's been pretty much Trump up by a few points or so. So I figured it was important to mention this before we get into the map itself. The state of Arizona, there hasn't been enough polls for them to do an average yet, but just quick math here. 8 plus 6, that's 14, plus 5, that's 19. 19 divided by 3 by how many polls there are, that's a little over 6 points, which that would be enough to put Arizona into the likely Trump column. The scale I'm using for this video is lean is 5 points or under for Trump, likely is 5 to 15 points, and then safe would be anything over 15 points for either candidate. So Arizona against Harris goes in the likely column. Next up, we go to the state of Georgia. Georgia and its 16 electoral votes. Trump is up by 10 in the most recent poll out of Fox 5 Atlanta. Trump is plus 10 in the Hill Emerson poll back from February, and plus 3 from the New York Times poll back in October. So plus 10 plus 10 plus 3, that's 23. 23 divided by 7, or divided by 3, is going to be a little over 7 points. That would also be enough to put it in the likely Trump column. So Trump is at 246 to Harris's 222. So that was Georgia. Now we're going to go on to the state of Michigan. Michigan does not have many polls done between Trump versus Harris. The only one they have is from back in October, but there's only one poll, and going off of what the polls would say, technically this is what it would say. So Harris would be up 2 points over Trump in Michigan. So have to give Harris Michigan by 2 points. So Harris is 237, Trump has 246. Now we go to the state of Nevada. Nevada has Trump plus 10, plus Trump plus 9, and Trump plus 8. That averages out to 27 points. 27 divided by 3, that's going to be in between 8 and 9 points, which would be enough to put Trump into the likely column for Nevada. Trump has 252, Harris has 237. You can kind of start to see that the margins may not end up holding this way if the election were to be Trump versus Harris, but you can certainly see there isn't too much of a difference between how Trump is performing versus Biden and versus Harris, at least so far in this video. Now for the state of New Hampshire, again, not kind of similar to Michigan, only one poll done, not a ton of polling data, but the only poll that has been done has Trump up 2 over Harris. So, by the rules of the video and polling, I have to give New Hampshire and its 4 electoral votes to Donald Trump in the lean column. This gets Trump to 256, Harris at 237. Now we go to North Carolina. Again, not too many polls done, but one poll done has Trump plus 9. And within the 5 to 15 point range, that is enough to put North Carolina in the likely Trump column. Trump gets 16 electoral votes, which, if it were to play out this way, would get Trump to be the winner of the election. Giving him the 16 electoral votes reaches him over 270 at 272. So North Carolina and its 16 electoral votes for Donald Trump. Now we go to the state of Pennsylvania, one of the only states that actually does have a polling average for us. And in this polling average, there's been 2 polls since July, so actually relatively recently. Trump has 47.5% averaged out. Harris is 43.5%. So this is under the 5% threshold to be likely. So this would be a lean state. Trump would win Pennsylvania in the lean column over Kamala Harris. This gets Trump to 291. Harris is at 237. Now we go to the final swing state where there is polling data. Wisconsin, Trump versus Harris. This is very, very close. One poll from back earlier in July has Trump up by 1 point, and one poll back from October has Trump up 2 points, averages out to 1.5. This is definitely going in the lean column. I removed the tilt column for this video because none of the states were under 1%, but this is about as close as you could possibly get, 1.5%, and Trump is able to very narrowly win Wisconsin over Harris. So with that, given the polling data that's currently available, Trump would get 301 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 237. And again, that's all the polls that have been done state by state so far between Trump and Harris. This, I don't think by all means this won't be the final map. For instance, Michigan could go red, Minnesota, Virginia could definitely be in play. But on the flip side also, I mean, there's no guarantee that if Harris has a good night, there's no guarantee New Hampshire goes red, Pennsylvania goes red, Wisconsin. Like, this map can vary very much, but just given what I've seen from polling data for Trump versus Biden, if the map is like this, I mean, it's possible, but I kind of think Harris would still find a way to at least win Minnesota and Virginia. Of course, I could be totally wrong, but at least with the polling data right now, if it's a semi-close race, that Trump definitely wins. Not in a blowout, but relatively closely because of some of the margins, for instance, of Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. I mean, the margins of being under the 5% threshold. The election would still be very close, no doubt. But I could see Trump winning Michigan maybe. But I'm not too sure how this one goes. We're definitely waiting to see more polling data on this. But the preliminary map between Trump and Harris, if this is going to be the matchup, the first map that comes out, given the polling data, shows Trump has 301 electoral votes. Harris has 237. So that'll do it for today's video. A bit of a quicker one because there really isn't too much to talk about yet, considering we still don't know what's going to happen with Biden and Harris and if Biden will be the nominee or not, or if Harris will step in. I've still been leaning that I think it'll still be Biden, but nonetheless, if it is Harris, I'm sure we'll have more videos like this in the future. But that'll do it for today's video. Please like it and leave a comment below. Tell me what you thought of this video and what you think of a Trump versus Harris matchup, how you think it would go. Thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you in a future video.